So, guys, there's a major threat facing the US economy right now, and it's in terms of the rising energy prices. Crude oil prices have gone up nearly 65% this year to almost a new high in the past several years, and gas prices at the pump are up nearly $1 over the past 12 months to a national average of roughly $3 per gallon. Now, historically, high energy prices have almost always preceded major recessions, and that is because high energy prices push up inflation, damper consumer spending on other goods and services, and ultimately slow down the US economic recovery. In the second quarter of 1990, crude oil prices shot up 135%, followed by a mild recession that lasted until 1991. Then, between 1999 and 2000, crude oil prices almost doubled right before economy fell into a recession in 2001. And finally, in 2007, oil shot up almost 100%, followed by a major recession in the US in the year 2008. Crude oil was hovering right around $80 a barrel earlier today, and some analysts are predicting a scenario where the oil prices can go up by another 40% sometime over the next year. And this is essentially enough to push the US and the global economy into a brief recession. Now, there are a few catalysts that are actually responsible for causing this steep rise in gas prices. The major catalyst amongst these is the huge demand for the product. Since the pandemic is kind of coming to an end, consumers are increasing their spending on buying other goods, and to meet this increased demand of goods and services in the market, companies and factories are burning more energy to run factories, ramp up production, and ship produced goods directly to the consumer or to the retail stores. We saw from our inflation data from last month that gas prices definitely have been on the uptick over the past 12 months since the world first came out of lockdowns and shutdowns. Gasoline prices over the past year have gone up about 43%, and the energy sector in general is up 25%. Inflation data for the month of September will be released on Wednesday this week, and we will take a look at how the energy sector and gas prices in general have performed for the month of September. But honestly, I would be surprised if the increase in prices of energy have slowed down month over month going from August to September. One other major factor causing the increases in prices through the energy sector is the constrained output of oil from OPEC, which is the organization of the petroleum producing and exporting countries. Earlier this month, we found out that the OPEC, even though it agreed to continue increasing production in measured steps, they decided against opening the oil taps more widely, which formed a major catalyst driving US crude oil prices to their highest level in the past 7 years. OPEC early on in the year decided to ramp up their supply of oil by up to 400,000 barrels per day by around this time in 2022. And the US government did try to escalate this matter with OPEC to output more than the 400,000 additional barrels to help reduce some inflation in the US. But OPEC firmly denied this request given the uncertainties with demand being on the rise in the near future and the Delta variant holding strong even with vaccinations and widespread lockdowns in Southeast Asia. Technically, a weaker wage growth from the pandemic and impending inflation in the US is not something the OPEC can control. And to the point, the $3 average gas price around the US is not the highest it has ever been, as crude oil prices of roughly $80 have been seen before in 2018 and 2015. It's just that the economy was much more stronger and hanging less by a thread back then than it is in 2021. Energy prices fluctuate every single day, even in normal times. But because of the uncertainty of the economic climate and doubt over government policies to control inflation and provide for a stronger economic comeback, energy prices have been much more fluid in the past several weeks. As far as consumer spending goes, about 8 to 10% of people's budgets every single month is spent on energy products. These range from gasoline to power automobiles to energy to heat up the home, or water or natural gas used to cook. And the problem with this consumption is that people cannot easily reduce this consumption on a short notice. If someone were to tell the general population to buy Target brand clothing instead of Armani for a few weeks to lower inflation, that would entirely be possible due to availability of an alternative means. But alternative measures do not readily exist for energy products, so one has to rely on what is available in the market, thus leaving them with less money to spend on discretionary purchases. With this relatively fixed usage of energy products, it becomes almost impossible to regulate prices of such products through demand and rely mostly on the supply from energy producing countries. Now, the moderately silver lining to this entire crisis is that Americans have more money saved up than before due to government stimulus money and unemployment insurance. Household savings increased by roughly $2 trillion compared to its pre pandemic levels in 2021. So, consumers are a little bit more able to afford and absorb increases in energy prices. However, energy prices do contribute to inflation every single month. Inflation has been running red hot over the past few months, with the latest inflation data from the month of August coming out at 5.3% increase from a year before. As such, with the Federal Reserve target of 2% year over year inflation over the long run, energy prices pushing up only contributes towards this target in a negative fashion. One of the critical things that may happen if energy prices keep rising, pushing inflation up, is that the Federal Reserve may decide to withdraw its quantitative easing or its monetary support to the US economy much sooner than originally anticipated, which may dampen the pace of economic recovery in the United States. If the Federal Reserve is to apply such measures, then interest rates may start rising far sooner than originally anticipated and may slow down consumer spending as debt becomes more expensive to borrow. As far as the stock market is concerned, it's either way a sharp edged knife, as on one hand, if energy prices keep going up, it's going to impact stocks of typical consumer goods companies and industrial companies such as US Steel and ArcelorMittal, as the cost of operations keep going up and affecting profits. And if the Federal Reserve changes monetary policies too quickly, then interest rates have a potential to rise faster than anticipated before, affecting the stocks of tech companies that price in future profits, which tend to go down when interest rates start going up. So it's really a we shall see game at this point, as we await inflation data that comes out tomorrow and Federal Reserve meeting that shall take place in early November, that will help us understand the future course of the economy. Meanwhile, stay informed and don't make any reckless moves with your money unless you absolutely are sure about what you're doing. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Once again, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below about what you think about inflation and the US government's economic policies right now. If you think that the gas prices are going to continue rising up, please let me know in the comments below. And also, if you think that gas prices will start crumbling down to the ground, please comment down below as well, as I would like to hear your thoughts on this whole economic situation and where we go from here. Thanks so much for watching again. Please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you again in my next video. Thank you so much. See ya.